form of debate, and academics. And you've all probably heard the academic spiel several times, so I'll keep it brief. We have AP classes, incredible teachers, and a single-gender learning environment that's systematically proven to benefit learning. The academic side is important, but I would argue that that's not where Sacred Heart sets itself apart from other independent schools. What sets us apart in my mind is how many opportunities you have to find your niche. Robotics, sports, there is quite literally something for everyone. In my case, that niche was debate, and Sacred Heart happened to have an incredible team, due in no small part to incredible coaches. You probably heard of Brian Casey. He's kind of pioneered that debate program. He's turned it into what it is today. So thank you, Mr. Casey. To give you an idea of the caliber of debate we offer, in 5 years we sent 4 of our debaters to the Canadian National Debate Team. They accept about 4 to 6 debaters each year from across the country, so that's no small feat. Due to a combination of national team involvement as well as school involvement, which is no less impressive, Sacred Heart boasts regional, provincial, national, international titles in debate. But those benefits extend beyond bragging rights. I have debate to thank for my university acceptance and scholarships, summer employment, a great deal of my friends, and for the fact that I don't have crippling fear of speaking in front of people. As a fun bonus, I hear that American debaters really hate it when Canadians show up and win all their tournaments, so if that's some added incentive, then there you go. The community aspect is in many ways exactly what you'd expect from a small independent school where everyone knows everyone. You get incredible support from your teachers, the opportunity to have lunch with your headmistress in grade 9, things of that nature. And when I personally saw this community hardest at work was when my mother had to get major surgery in my senior year of high school. And within days of her diagnosis, Miss Mackay, she's a teacher at the school, she hadn't taught me in a year, but she had organized a meal drive so that people could sign up to take dinners to my house. And I was answering the door every day to find teachers who hadn't taught me in years, who still didn't hesitate for a second to contribute when there was a family in need. That's community. The final impact, and perhaps the most important, was an understanding of what it means to be a leader. And I could stand here all day and list off incredible teachers and leadership. So Miss Donnelly, she served the school for over a decade. Miss Scott for over 4. But we have a long history of incredible female role models at the school. We're lucky to have that. But for the sake of time, I'm going to put the spotlight on Sister Wachter for a second and illustrate my point via a quick story. I'm sorry, I know you hate this, but I just have to. So in my senior year, the heads of school all went to this conference in the United States, and they were gone for a little while. They come back and we each get this book, and it's entitled Something to the Effect of Life at the Sacred Heart. Every single student at the school, primary to grade 12, every single one of us gets one of these little books. And those are like a lot of books, as you can imagine. They get heavy. Sister Wachter carried every single one of those across the border with her so that everybody could get a copy. And we were hearing the story later from Miss Wright, and she said, you know, all the teachers had bags and bags of stuff because, like, hello, shopping in the US. But Sister Wachter had this bag of books, this duffel bag, and for herself, she had brought back 1 box of cereal. And the next piece is somewhat irrelevant to the overall message of selfless leadership you should be taking away from this story, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one small detail. Some of you are thinking, or at least I was, what the heck is this cereal, right? So I asked, and it turns out that it's this cereal called Total Cereal, right? And for those of you who haven't heard it, its selling point is that a bowl contains like all of the micronutrients you need in a day. They're these dry, flat wheat flakes. There's absolutely nothing exciting about them. Like, these things make Cheerios look like the plain ones, not even Honey Nut Cheerios. They make those things look like a party in a box. So, if that gives you an idea of what her favorite variety of cereal is, I'm sorry, that's not a fun cereal. Like, ironically enough, in my grocery store, they store them next to this box of cereal. It's called, like, Fun Marshmallows or something, and it very proudly puts the words "no nutrition" added on the box. But that's what the Total Cereal is next to. That's her favorite kind. But back to the point. I think it's obvious to everyone in this room that Sister Wachter loves her Sacred Heart kids and that she fights tooth and nail for what she thinks is best for them. She showed me every day that a strong leader can be loving, be ethical, be moved to tears by a school concert, and still be a force to reckon with. What I learned not just from her, but from debate, from our teachers, our other leaders at the school even, is that compassion and integrity aren't signs of weakness in a leader. They can be your greatest strength. When it comes for me to decide where it is that I'm putting recommendations, putting money when at some point it comes time for me to decide to do so, it's going to be to an institution that instills those values in the children that it serves, regardless of what the rest of the world is telling you. Now let's talk specifically about the impact of the bursary program. And in my case, I can summarize that in one sentence. Without it, I wouldn't be here. And my parents have 4 kids, so without the assistance, most prominently, of the bursary program, they would have been put in a very difficult position. It's pick your favorite child, which would have been incredibly unfair to my brothers. Sorry, not sorry. Or opt for another educational path. And in no way am I suggesting that the latter would be woefully inadequate, but it's really difficult for me to deny the unique advantages my Sacred Heart education provided to me. So beyond those aforementioned skills, extracurriculars, Sacred Heart undoubtedly played a pivotal role in securing my post-secondary education because it secured the scholarship money I needed to complete my degree. But let's talk specifics because that's a pretty broad statement that gets tossed around all the time. How is it that Sacred Heart sets kids up for success? For one, if you're looking south of the border like I was, then the fact that we have AP classes and an incredible math program means that you'll ace the SATs. If you're not taking the SATs because you don't care about going to America for college, then if you ever have to write an MCAT and a PCAT, you can thank your Sacred Heart teachers for how it is they prepare you for that. Second, Sacred Heart teaches you how to write an essay that'll knock them dead. So that gets your application in the door, gets it read, gets you put on scholarship lists. And before you dismiss the importance of pretty writing if you're just going to pursue a science degree, I was paid to have my work published within a semester of going to college. It has absolutely nothing to do with my degree, but there was a nice check that came with it, so if you're not really in the camp that writing is inherently valuable, there's at least that. And finally, there's the debate wins element, right? Because once you find that niche, it's a question of what happens with it. And in my case, it means that apparently universities like argumentative teenagers that help them win varsity tournaments. Even as a coach, I've never really understood why that's true. I know my parents sure don't get it, but in college, this can help you get more money, free debate trips, free sporting events if that's your niche, and that's always nice. I mean, I'd say the downside in my case is that I've seen more of the Midwest than should be legal, but nonetheless, good experiences. If you take one thing away from this tirade, it should be that our bursary fund secures a future far beyond high school graduation. It arms those who are most in need financially with the tools to tangibly change their own futures through university acceptances, academic and extracurricular scholarships, and in university, the ability to set yourself apart in any environment. My hope is that sharing my experience from Sacred Heart will move you to share the same privileges I've had with prospective students in need for years to come. Being here tonight and contributing is the first big step in making a future in which children can access these opportunities a reality. So thank you all for your continued support for the school. Thank you more importantly for your suggestion, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening.